We begin with the crisis in Syria, where President Bashar al-Assad says his country will be more determined to eradicate terrorists in the wake of the US-led airstrikes on the country. The United States, France and Britain launched over 100 missiles on Friday in response to the Syrian government's alleged use of chemical weapons last week. The Pentagon called the strikes extremely precise, hitting the heart of Syria's chemical weapons program. Before and after satellite images of the targets show the damage. Most of the missiles were aimed at a research center in Damascus. The Pentagon says the other targets were a chemical weapons storage facility and a command post near to Homs. The US and its European allies say the strikes are meant to send a clear message that the use of chemical weapons is unacceptable and will result in retaliation. Our correspondent, Ala Ibrahim, has more from Damascus.
It seems the government is not interested in further escalation with the United States, France and the United Kingdom. All the statements we have been hearing from Syrian officials in the past 24 hours concentrated more on the fact that Syria managed to avoid the repercussions of such a strike and they don't want to escalate any further. Even CGTN spoke with the Deputy Foreign Minister in the Syrian government, Dr. Ayman Susan, who told us clearly that the government has no interest in escalating this conflict and it will only fight as long as it's forced to fight for its existence and in defense of Syria. That being said, we should mention that one of the reasons why the government is not interested in escalation, because the situation in the fight against the rebels and against militant groups across the country did not change at all because of the American strike. As a result, the government has no interest in creating any kind of situation that would undermine the government's ability to fight the rebels or make the government take some of its military efforts away from its fight with the rebels. But so far we know also that the government is working closely with the Russians to formulate what they call response scenarios, and these response scenarios are more likely to be a political response scenario than they would be any military attacks or military responses by the Syrian government and the Russians. Also, the government seems confident that as the OPCW mission begins its work in Syria today, that this work will clear the government's name of any involvement in the alleged chemical weapons attack that took place on Douma last week.